What's cracking, yo? Welcome back to Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today. One thing I've noticed over the years, especially when it comes to the media, and a lot of these media members are affiliated with Clutch Sports and the Bronsexuals of the world, is that there are always so many excuses for LeBron James, whereas other players in the history of our league that probably deserve or have a legitimate excuse for how they played or how something happened don't receive the type of context and excuses or get excused or pardoned in the way that LeBron James does, especially when his situations seem to not warrant an excuse anyway, not to that degree. We all know LeBron James has been, for more or less the majority of his career, healthy. He's never had any season-ending injuries. He's really never had any season-ending surgeries. He's really never broken a bone, had any real severe or moderate tears. Most of LeBron James's injuries has been sprains, and if he had any tears, they had to be extremely minor. But mostly sprains, ankle sprains, wrist sprains, groin strain. Keep him out too long. And the Bronsexuals and the media will always bring up old-ass sprained ankle injuries as excuses for him for performance of play or missing the playoffs. I remember one time, Nick Wright, after the Lakers, from at some point during his Laker tenure, one of those seasons, he missed the playoffs. And we go into the off season, and the season's starting up. And then they're evaluating the Lakers and LeBron James's, forecast for the upcoming season. And some Bronsexual on the TV goes, yeah, but we got that ankle injury from LeBron James that we got to keep a look at that might hinder him starting the new season or affect his gameplay. So we want to keep a close eye on that. What? An ankle injury from 5 to 6 months ago? Did you really just say that? Did you really just say that? I've been playing basketball almost my whole life. How many ankle sprains I've had? Are you kidding me? Yeah, the reason they missed the playoffs because LeBron James, he missed 2 or 3 weeks with that ankle injury, and the ankle wasn't quite the same. From what I've seen, the ankle was just fine. He just failed to get the job done. The Lakers were still in the playoffs. Well, this was that year with Ball. I think the Ball brothers. No, that's when he had the groin strain, I think, with his first year with the Lakers, I think. And when he came back to the team after a few weeks, they were still in playoff position, and they just plummeted. After that. LeBron James's body looked perfectly fine. Playoff mode activated. I think that was playoff mode activated. And then the season after that, they got Anthony Davis. They won the bubble. The next year, they lost first round to Phoenix Suns, I believe. Something along those lines. And I just couldn't believe the type of excuses they just keep giving this guy. It is okay to fail and not get the job done. Almost every other player, every other great that we talk about, they don't get these kinds of excuses, even though they probably deserve it, because they've had far worse injuries than LeBron James that played through them. And some of them still got the job done en route to a championship. But they always just say for these other players, they just failed. They just failed. No context at all. When their type of context is more deserving than his. Like, is he accountable? Is LeBron James accountable for anything? He has had a fabulous career, a great career, and you cannot take it from him. But this notion that he can't be held accountable for any losses, any poor performances, it's always somebody else's fault. It's always because of an injury that's not even around anymore. Like he's incapable of having a bad game or incapable of getting the job done. He's been in the league 20 years now. He's won 4 championships. That means 16 of those years he failed to get the job done. Are we going to give him an excuse for every year? Is it always somebody else's fault? Is it always the team's fault? Is it always the coach's fault? And because how I see it, 4 championships in 20 years, not many people can say they've done that. That's not a slight against LeBron, but people, if you say anything about this guy, it's a slight against him. You're attacking him. No, we're being real about the situation. And they'll give context for LeBron James' poor performances or failure to get it done over a mild ankle sprain. And then I remember Kevin Durant comes back from an Achilles injury, and not once do they ever bring up the fact that he's coming back from an Achilles injury. And he's played extremely well considering he came back from an Achilles tear. Like, amazing what Kevin Durant is doing and still is. And even when he has poor performances, not once did they ever be like, maybe, sore Achilles. He just came back from a season-ending injury, an Achilles injury. For a lot of players, a career-ending injury is an Achilles injury. But not once did they ever bring that up as an excuse for Kevin Durant. Where an injury like that warrants it. Unbelievable. Even Michael Jordan. They always talk about his Wizards career, right? Oh, Michael Jordan was garbage as the Wizards, came back, they didn't even make the playoffs. Hold on. Now hold up. Because in that first year with the Wizards, Michael Jordan was one of the better players in the league. He was an MVP candidate until just before the All-Star break. He had a knee injury, a stupid, ridiculous knee injury where he had to get his knee drained damn near before every game to go out and play. And eventually, I think, I could be wrong, but either the first or the second season, eventually he had to sit out for some extended period of time. And besides that Wizards team right there, Jordan legitimately didn't have any help. And he came out of retirement at an old age. So the fact that he was able to do what he was able to do was absolutely phenomenal. But nobody brings that up. Nobody brings up that serious knee injury he had. Getting it drained. Flu is nasty looking shit. Nasty. Gross. And I look at that player. We've been doing a lot of Larry Bird content on here lately. After learning more about Larry Bird, nobody credits this guy for his ability to play through injuries and body conditions that LeBron James has never experienced and still get 3 MVPs back to back to back. Still get 3 championships. And more or less played at an elite level his entire career, even when he was considered a shell of himself. With the nagging back, the double Achilles surgery, and everything else. Drilled a hole in a man's face, busted up feet, playing with blood all up in his shoe. Nobody ever brings that up and puts that into context for a player like Larry Bird. Nobody. He just failed to get it done the other times. Just failed to get it done. So don't mention his injuries that are way worse than anything LeBron has ever suffered. It blows my mind. The lack of accountability. The lack of accountability. And Kobe Bryant is another one who does it, who really deserves that type of excuse gifting, but doesn't get it. They'll say about Kobe, oh, what happens after Shaq left? He didn't even make the playoffs the next year. Really? Because I'm pretty sure Kobe had a season-ending injury in the second half of the season. And before Kobe went out with that injury, the Lakers had a playoff position. They were like the seventh or eighth seed, albeit it wasn't high, but they were primed to make the playoffs. He never returned the rest of the season after getting that surgery, after that injury. What are we talking about? But they never bring that up. The narrative is he just missed the playoffs after Shaq. He didn't get it done. Come on, man. What are we talking about? And another thing they'll say about Kobe. Oh, Kobe Bryant just drove the Lakers into the ground, couldn't even get him into the playoffs the last couple years, and you want to call him the greatest Laker. Oh, you want to even throw him, his name in with the other greats. He doesn't deserve it. You see what he did to that franchise? Well, what? Did Kobe Bryant not tear his Achilles in the later years of his career? Before Kobe tore his Achilles, he was still a top 5 player in the league. Willed those broken Lakers into the playoffs, tore his Achilles in the process, walked back out on the court, shot 2 free throws, got him into the playoffs, and wasn't there to help them fight against the San Antonio Spurs. But he sacrificed his body to do it. They don't bring that up. And after Kobe came back from that Achilles injury, he broke his knee one season and then broke his shoulder the other season and barely played any of those 2 seasons. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? He barely played. It wasn't until his 20th season where he limped basically to that finish line en route to that 60-point game against the Utah Jazz in the last game of his career. His body completely failed him, and he wasn't even available most of the time. Not to mention that roster was garbage with a bunch of young people, young cats. Where's the context for that? But no, y'all are holding him accountable on a level that you wouldn't hold LeBron James accountable, when he deserves all the context in the world for those injuries. It blows my mind. If people can't see how the media drives these narratives, if people can't see the bias, then you are just what Skip Bayless liked to say. And shame on me for quoting Skip Bayless. Shame on me. Blind witnesses. Blind witnesses. People look at me as like, dude, you're just this, you're just that. I was like, dude, it's obvious. These narratives that are getting driven. The biases. Certain players are accountable, certain players aren't accountable. Certain players get all the excuses in the world, certain players don't. And they're feeding this to all the people that really don't follow the sport close enough, and they'll just take it for gospel and regurgitate it back out and spew it back out to everybody else as gospel, as truth. Blows my mind. You know, one of the reasons I created this channel was because of these false narratives. One of the reasons, not kind of my main reason, is because I was seeing all this false information going around, this misinformation going around. I was like, I got to do something about this. Maybe I can be the hero. Maybe not. I'll try to be the hero. Jeez, man. And I remember that one year, I think the first year with Russ, and the season-ending interviews, I forgot what they're called, postseason interviews, whatever. One of the reporters asked LeBron James, "Do you feel like this season was a failure?" Or in a statement said this season was a failure. Or how do you view the season? LeBron James was like, "This season wasn't a failure." I'm like, what? This season wasn't a failure? How could you say that? And then he's like, oh, we had injuries. Dude, no. That season was a failure. You had 3 All-Stars. You guys couldn't figure it out. You couldn't get it done. Yeah, there were some injuries, But at the end of the day, when everybody was healthy and on the floor together, you guys still weren't winning games. And even with the shitty record that you had, you still had a chance to make the playoffs, and you still didn't. The play-in is the best thing that could have ever happened. Because they still had life through the entire season when they probably wouldn't have had the play-in not existed. Still didn't make the playoffs. So don't tell me this season wasn't a failure. Come on, man. Sure, there's things, right? You know, you see through the silver lining, all that stuff. You learn from your experience. But to say that season, if it wasn't a failure, what was it? A success, right? Had to. You must be saying it's a success, or at least say not an absolute failure. I maybe would have even been acceptable with that. No. I take that back. Season was a failure. Get out of here. Doesn't even hold himself accountable. The self-proclaimed GOAT. Self-proclaimed at that. Anywho, let me know what you think about it. Hit the dislike button. I'm sure a lot of you won't like what I have to say or had to say. Just go ahead. Let me know about it in the comment section. And you don't have to make the comments private where only I can see it. Put it out in public. I encourage you to. I don't give a fuck. I do this. Hit the dislike button. And let me know what you think about it. We out, baby. Peace. Thanks for watching.